Recovery doesn't start tomorrow.
Calling all angels.
Recovery starts right now. And here to help is Rated R for Recovery.
Calling all you angels.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of the ongoing saga known as Rated R for Recovery, ratedrforrecovery.com. We're brought to you in part by Sovereign Health with offices in Fort Myers and all over the country. See them at sovhealth.com. We broadcast live from the Freedom Studio located at the Freedom Clubhouse. That's 6313 Corporate Court, Suite 140 in Fort Myers. We do this show in front of a studio audience, and to prove that, would you guys make some noise, please? That being said, you're welcome to come if you're in our area and see the show anytime you'd like, live in our studio audience. Listen to us as a podcast every Thursday night from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. at ratedrforrecovery.com. And if you miss that, we're rebroadcast every Saturday night on the new News, Talk, and More WJBX Beasley Broadcasting radio station.
Oh, that's amazing.
It is. It is.
You guys sound good tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm an alcoholic that doesn't drink. I'm a drug addict that doesn't use. And I'm a dead man that walks amongst the living. All this by no righteous deed of my own. And you can call me John.
Hi, John. And so I do. And I'm just a nice girl who can... My name is Joy. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Joy. We're going to start off the show on a sad note. First of all, thanks to all the wonderful people that showed up for the special edition of Rated R for Recovery. Our producer, one of our video people, Mike Holliday, is busy putting this together with music, video, audio, and that should be released probably in the next week to two. It's going to take him a while to do that. But we want to thank all the volunteers that came down and helped. The food was good, the crowd was good, and the message, as always, was awesome.
And I'd like to especially mention Lindsay and Krista, who took over for me when I was sick and helped out here.
Not to mention Miss Ann Dickout, formerly of Felony Drug Court and now of one of the churches in Naples, and she's a counselor down there. She sat in when you couldn't. And Joy,
bless her heart.
And Joy was extremely ill, couldn't get a word out of your mouth at the time. Yeah. So, and I know you were so looking forward to that, but next year will be better because you'll be here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very nice. We also want to offer condolences to the Cornell family. Chris, the former lead singer, guitar player for the band Soundgarden and the band Audio Slave, was found dead this morning, apparently of a suicide. But there was decades of struggles that he had, as lots of us do.
Well, and struggle's a good word because it's just wears people out.
Yeah. So we're going to talk more about the people that have more notoriety because for some reason they bring substance and weight to the topic because they are people that are in the news, people that are in the industry of entertainment, and people listen to them, don't they?
Well, yeah, and one thing that I like to mention to people who feel that they can't get their lives together and that they've gone so far down, and if they only had this, if they only had that, if I was just like that famous person, or if I had that money or that car or whatever, and then to look at the people that we've known and watched and loved who had seemingly everything. Obviously, they did not.
And practically from the beginning of time, or ever since, our literature says since the man crushed grapes for the first time. But for years, that poor young man that played the Joker in the Batman
Heath
movie.
Ledger.
Yeah, same, but we can go on and on. Prince. Anyway, so let's go to the first segment of the show. Please welcome our first guest. This would be my friend Micah.
Micah. I feel like I just met you.
Thank you for coming on the show, Micah.
Glad to be here, John.
Micah, how long have you been sober now?
I've been clean for almost 4 years. I'll have 4 years on the 28th of this month.
Okay, good for you.
Coming up on it.
Micah, I met you then almost 4 years ago.
About 4 years ago.
And you were just coming to a men's sober house at the time, I think, or was it? How did we meet?
No, I was at treatment. I was in treatment, and you would bring in the Thursday meeting.
Ah, okay, all right.
Every morning.
So we're talking 12-step meetings, is what Micah's referring to. Micah, when did this terrible situation start to manifest itself as a real problem in your life?
I mean, I'm a firm believer that this manifested in my life long before I picked up a drug or a drink.
Explain.
As a kid, I never really felt a part of, right? Like I never felt like I I belonged anywhere. And so like I want to say like age 10, you know, I started to learn to put a mask on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I started to learn how to pretend to be somebody different, to be somebody I wasn't, to fit in places, you know? And it started with stealing. I would steal from my dad's wallet because I got a rush out of it. You know, I would start lying because I'd get a rush out of it. You know, anything to take me outside of myself.
I like that you mentioned that because some people don't see that part of it. They feel that, well, I used to steal quarters from my mom for candy, and I thought it was the candy that motivated me, not the stealing. But there is that little rush that comes with getting away with something.
And as a little fellow, mine was isolation.
Mm-hmm.
Total isolation in this fantasy world, with books,
Mm-hmm.
with my records on my record player that would tell stories, and there was not a lot of children in my neighborhood, so that's where I went to. So so you start using mind-altering substances at what age?
I was about 12, 13 when I used the first time.
And that starts with the kids in the neighborhood normally. With me, it did. Was it with you?
I mean, it was. And the first time I used, I was with some other people. But, like, the first time I used, I felt a freedom I hadn't felt before. You know what I mean? Because, again, like I said, I learned to put that mask up, right?
Huh.
To that pretend, that facade. And
So-
I used for the first time, and I no longer felt the need to have that facade because I thought that this was the answer. This was going to solve all of my problems.
I think, Joy, and I may be wrong, I may not be really in tune with my own self here, but I just used because we all hung out as a group. We all wanted to get beer. I just went along with it. Let's get, you know.
And I don't think that was true for me because from a very young age, I never wanted to do what everybody else was doing. I always wanted my own way,
Yeah.
and it had to do with that isolation and the hiding and the book reading and the immersing myself in my own ideas.
When did your situation become a problem, and how did it manifest itself? Tell us about how bad it got.
Oh, it became a problem very fast because I got arrested a lot. I got
For what?
Theft, possession, public intoxication, possession, theft, violation of probation.
Yeah.
Just the things, you know what I mean? Like and so my senior year in high school, I missed so much school that I had to go to
Wow.
an
Yeah.
alternative school. I barely graduated.
You know, there was this saying that everybody had in the lockup in Lee County: come to Florida on vacation, leave on probation, come back on violation.
I just heard that just the other day.
So now you're a young man. You're saying your senior year of high school. You're a young man.
I got clean 2 weeks after my 21st birthday. I just turned 25 on Monday.
Wow. Okay. All right. So now, do you remember where you were when you said what were your surroundings were like, what you were going through, and what the consequences were when you said, I can't do this anymore?
I remember that very vividly. I had been kicked out of my sister's house because so I grew up in Texas. I moved from Texas to Florida, and then I moved from Florida up to Chicago because my sister lived up there and I was going to live with her. I was there for about a year, and I'd lost my job. I'd lost several jobs, and I'd been stealing from my sister, and she'd kicked me out of her house.
Yeah.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
And I was riding the train because I still had like 30 days. I had like 3 days left on my train pass. And I was riding the train end to end. And I was just sitting there for hours on end on the back of the train.
Because you had no place to go.
Because I had literally no place to go.
Yeah.
I had no neighborhoods I could go in safely. I had no place I could go to cop. I had exhausted all my moves. And I was just sitting there looking at my reflection in the window of the train. Like, how did I get myself here, and how do I get out of this?
Has anybody experienced with a clapping of hands that loneliness that Micah's describing right now?
And that part where you stare in the mirror at yourself, and there are so many things that go through our minds, and one is, who are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What am I in there? Does that look like me?
Yeah. Well, and that mine was like just total, probably feeling sorry for myself, I think, at that point. But then we have this moment, that clarity, that we make a decision that either I'm just going to ride the train for the rest of my life or I'm going to do something. What did you do?
I would like to sit here and tell you that I made all these moves and decided. I didn't decide. So at the time, I was going to the library. You know, I was going to the library to use the internet because I didn't have a cell phone. And I still had a library card because dope dealers don't take library books in trade. And I was going there to use the internet, trying to get a hold of friends from back home to get somebody to get me a bus ticket. And my sister reached out to me and she was like, you know, come home. I came home. She said, you have a problem. We're going to fly you to Florida to go back because my parents live here. I came here. My parents said I needed treatment. And so I went.
Really? So it was like, okay, Micah, you either like sort of like an intervention. Mm-hmm. So they said, here's what we'll support you in. Either you take that or you're on your little merry way. And you accepted that.
I did.
Did you want it at the time?
I really didn't. I'm going to be honest because, see, that moment of desperation was so small. And the way that my disease tends to work is it has this ability to warp my surroundings and warp my settings, right? Because when I'm homeless on the train, it likes to tell me that everything's okay. And then when I'm going to get the help that I need, it likes to tell me that
I overreacted.
You're not, listen, you're 21, you're going to be fine.
Not that bad yet.
Yeah, right. Okay, so they suggested, or they said either you go to treatment or we're going to have to cut you loose. And well, I'll try treatment.
I went. I mean, again, they had a bed there. They had meals there. I was sleeping on a train. I figure it can't be that bad.
So you're in Florida. Mm-hmm. You have your sister kind of intervened to help save your life.
Absolutely.
And then your parents took over when you got here and said, we've got this set up for you. Where was that?
I went to a treatment center here in Fort Myers.
That would be Salis Care?
Yep.
TLC?
It was SWAFIS at the time.
Okay, but still TLC?
Yeah, I went to TLC, the 28-day
What's TLC
program.
stand for, do you know?
Transitional Living Center.
That's correct. Very good. Okay. And then they put you through a 28-day program?
I went through a 28-day program, and I went through their halfway house.
What did you learn in that 28-day program?
How to find meetings.
Did your way of thinking start to change in that first 28 days?
Yes and no. So yes, in the aspect of that first night I was in treatment, I went to a meeting, and in that first meeting that I went to, the first 12-step recovery meeting I went to, I no longer felt alone. Nice. Because I heard the message in that meeting. Because for my entire life, I'd always felt alone. I always felt like the broken toy on the island of misfit toys. I felt like I was the one that nobody could understand. And then I went to a 12-step meeting, and I heard people talk. First time in my life I didn't feel alone, and I realized that I wasn't some monster. I wasn't this damaged, broken person. I was sick. I was a person with a disease who needed help.
Right.
And I found that in a 12-step program.
And not in the same words, but my dear friend of probably 10 years now, Tom, is sitting in the audience, and that's kind of what he relates when he talks about the purpose of people with time going to meetings and sharing their story, that there is a way out of this. You know, your thoughts.
I was just sitting here thinking about how I knew how to be alone but not be lonely sometimes when I was at my best. I mean, at the end I was both. I was alone and I was lonely. When I came into some recovery, I learned how to be with people, but sometimes I still felt lonely. And it's merging those two things together, you know, that creates some sort of emotional, not only emotional sobriety, but emotional maturity.
Yeah.
And you can't just tell somebody how to do that. It really comes with the doing over time. And time takes time, and that's probably one of the things that, you know, just we can't stand the most.
Okay, so you're in a 28-day program. You go to your first meeting. You see that there is a way out of this, that not everybody has to suffer that way I, in my mind, thought I was suffering. How did this progress, and then where did you go after the 28-day program?
I mean, it progressed. You know, I got a sponsor while I was in treatment. It was you. You were my first sponsor. And then I got out of treatment, and I...
Yeah. Did you? How did that work out? What
You
did
start
we get?
sponsoring yourself immediately?
I didn't work out for me because I wasn't ready to be honest with myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because...
And they told you need a sponsor. So you saw the first guy that you knew, that you saw on a regular basis, and you said, "Will you be my sponsor?"
That's exactly what it was.
And a lot of us do that.
I asked the first person who said hello to me.
You did?
Yeah,
Okay, there
first
you
one
go.
who had said hello to me and shook my hand, I asked because I knew I wasn't going to ask anybody else.
Okay. All right. And did that person remain your sponsor?
For about a year.
Oh, really? That long?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Micah, so you kept going. You kept moving forward. We're not going to dwell on any negativity here because we come into recovery. We come from shame and guilt. There is no reason why we should feel shame and guilt once we're doing the next right thing. If I'm doing a right thing, then I need to feel good about myself. That includes self-affirmation, being around positive people that are going to lift me up and not try to tear me down. These are all things that we, as with this disease, being a threefold disease, need in our lives, correct?
Yeah, and shame and guilt tend to be centered in the past.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Not that we don't have to deal with our past, because we do.
So if I come from there and then you continue it, I'm going to either leave or stay away from you completely. And I'm not healthy enough to stay away from you completely. So so you go through the 28-day program. You then where did you go from there?
I went into SWAFIS at the time. I think they still do. Had a halfway house on campus.
They do.
And I just went right into that because it seemed the safest thing. You know, because I didn't want to go back to the old way of thinking. I had a choice. You know, and that's one thing I didn't have before I went to treatment. That's one thing I didn't have before I had that clarity that comes with a little time, is I had a choice. And I chose to keep doing what I was doing. And I chose to go to meetings and find out how this works.
And what did you find? Bring us all the way up to the present day time. Go.
All the way up to the present time. I mean, look, I went from somebody who was broken inside and was physically incapable to tell you that. I had leveraged my entire life on dampening emotion and my spirit with drugs and a facade. And I've broken through that facade, and I've put the drugs down, and I've found my spirit. I've worked steps, I've gone to meetings, I've gone to conventions, and I've done this. And I did what they told me to do. I didn't reinvent the wheel. I didn't do some magical formula. There's no potion that I took. I came to a 12-step meeting. They told me what to do, and I did it because I realized that I can't be the decider. Because when I run decisions, when I'm running the show, I ruin it. I ruin things. That's what happens in my life. And so I turned my will over to a power greater than myself. Now, at first, I didn't believe in God. They say the God word a lot, and that used to terrify me. But I turned it over to the group.
Amen.
Because the group knew better than I did.
Amen.
Because the group had an ability to, as a collective, was doing the right thing, and I didn't know how to do that, and so I turned my will over to the group. And through that process of turning my will over to the group, I grew. Because I had a sponsor that told me that, you know, change is on the edge of my comfort zone. I have to leave my comfort zone to change. Wow. And I left my comfort zone. I've done things that have made me extremely uncomfortable. And as I look back on them, there are things that have saved my life. I can look at myself in the mirror today. I'm an employable person. I have a relationship with my parents. And all of that is through this program. The 12 steps saved my life. It changed me into a person that I have esteem for. I learned to have self-esteem by doing esteemable things. Amen. I learned to have self-respect by doing respectable things. They taught me how to be a son here. They taught me how to be an employee here. They taught me how to be a brother here. I learned how to be a person again. Because I followed in the footsteps of my predecessors.
And that's just the way it works. There is nothing. Oh.
Okay. And it shows on your face.
Yes.
I can see it coming out of your eyes, and I can hear it in your voice. Very simple words spoken from the heart. What comes from the heart reaches the heart, and that's what this whole thing's about. It was
And very
beautiful.
eloquently said as well. Is your sister listening tonight in Chicago?
She lives in Connecticut now, and maybe.
Maybe. Okay. All right. We'll say hi to sister and hi to parents. We're running out of time for this first segment. We're going to take a commercial break. Give Micah another round of applause.
Welcome back to Rated R for Recovery.
Welcome back to Rated R for Recovery, ratedrforrecovery.com, brought to you in part by Sovereign Health with offices all over the country. See them at sovhealth.com. Our website, ratedrforrecovery.com, our Facebook page, Rated R for Recovery. Like us on the Facebook and then pass us around to your friends and have them like us. So the more likes we get, I guess it means something.
Yeah, it means something to somebody. I don't know.
All right. Well, not only is she our musical guest, but she is going to talk to us about her experience in Al-Anon. Please welcome Lin Firedman to the show.
Thank you.
The first thing we would like to do is, and I'm sure the studio audience will appreciate that, Lin is the one responsible for the new coffee machine, coffee and accessories.
Woo! Oh,
It's wonderful.
Sherry too.
And
Sherry.
Sherry too. Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention Sherry. Is there an how did we want to phrase this? The next question to Lin about the no. Okay, so let's move right along. So Lin, you have started attending Al-Anon for what reason?
I'm married to an alcoholic. I'm the granddaughter of an alcoholic, the niece of many alcoholics, and it caught up to me.
And it what?
Caught up to me.
It caught up to you.
Wore her out.
Emotionally and spiritually.
Yes.
And do you find relief in the rooms of Al-Anon?
Yes. I find relief.
In what way?
I'm not alone. Other people have been there, done that, and I'm gaining strength and wisdom from them. I've learned from them and from you that no is a complete sentence.
It's one of
We
my
were just
favorite.
talking about that.
Yeah.
So the next time my husband wants me to buy him a bottle, which he usually buys his own, but next time he wants me to, my answer will be no.
Okay. It's a tough situation to be under the same roof and watch somebody go through that, which is, spiritually and, just putting something into my body that you're just watching me not do well. Let's leave it at that. How did you find Al-Anon?
I had heard about it years ago, and I don't even remember how I found it back then, but lately things with my husband have been progressing, I guess you could say. He's not physically mean, but he's very verbally mean.
I'm going to offer to, I didn't mean to interrupt. I got to stop you right there.
Okay.
What do we do when that happens, Joy?
Well, I don't tolerate abuse, and I call the police, but you have to get to a point where you're ready to do that.
And Al-Anon will help her be able to.
It's
what?
my understanding that Al-Anon will help you help you change yourself,
Yes.
and to get yourself ready for whatever it is you want to do, whether you continue to live with your loved ones or whether you could find the need to be separated from them. They'll support you. They just sort of help you walk through the abyss of that family addiction and to find your way.
How long have you been attending, Lin?
Today is my 3-month anniversary.
Oh, congratulations. Do they have you started a process or a program of learning a new way to think?
Well, at this point, I've been attending the meetings, and I've bought the Courage to Change book and Marriage to an Alcoholic, I think it was called. Very insightful, and as a matter of fact, I would recommend it for anyone in any marriage for any purpose.
What have you found in the meetings and literature that have maybe changed your way of thinking, and how has it changed your way of thinking? What decisions have you made?
Well, I'm not responsible for my husband's drinking,
Right?
and I can't stop his drinking, which I kind of already knew that. But I've learned to stop doing little things like looking at that bottle and seeing how quickly it's going down. And just basically, I don't think I ever made catty remarks, but I've pretty much stopped making any remarks about his drinking and just left that. You know, it's his responsibility. He's a big boy. It's up to him to take care of it, and I need to worry about me.
Are you happy at home?
Yeah, I'm happy at home. I'd be happier if he could change, but I know I can't change him. I don't have that strength.
What is one to do in that circumstance? Do we go on and get better ourselves and put up with the situation in the home, whether it be abusive or just something that just doesn't sit well with me spiritually? What would you tell another woman?
Well, no matter what, the first part of your sentence was entirely correct. We work on getting better ourselves. And as we get better ourselves, then it becomes clear what to do. You know, when you get a new employer, and if you're going to ask some sort of higher power to be in your life to help you make decisions, that I won't make those decisions by myself anymore. And as I grow, the decisions will begin to become clear. And of course, we don't want anyone to live in a situation that is not safe. But all the rest of it, the putting up with whatever it is that we feel necessary that we have to do to put our heads on the pillow at night, you know, then that's what we do.
What did you find? Do you go through a process like it's recommended in other 12-step fellowships to get a home group, get a sponsor, get a service commitment, and start working a program? Was that suggested to you?
That's basically how they do it, yes. I don't really have a sponsor yet. I asked one friend there, but she could only, because of other commitments in her life, she could only help me for like a month or so. And she said, you know, hopefully, you know, you can call me and that'll be someone to turn to. And then we need to focus on getting you somebody who will be in it more for the long run for that. So,
okay, all right. I could make a lot of sarcastic remarks, but I'll refrain from all of them right now.
That would be good.
Yeah, that would be very nice. Okay, so what I'm saying, the bottom line is, so that you don't think I was my intention is never to insult anybody or tell anybody that you need to do this. You ever hear when you're in a group setting and people say, well, you need to do this and you need to do that? I have no idea what you need to do. All I can share is what I've done. Correct?
That's called crosstalk.
Can I? Well, no, in generalities, people I have heard.
Oh, you said in groups, when you're in groups.
Yeah, in group settings. Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
in any kind of group setting, that would be called crosstalk. That's not
even
really
if they're not
conversation.
directing it towards any one individual.
If you say the word you're directing it at somebody.
Well, then hello. I think I need you to come to the meetings I go to. Anyway, so there is a point in time where if you're asking me to go out and build a brick wall as I come into the program of recovery. This is metaphorically. So I don't know how to build a brick wall, so I need a mason to help me build a brick wall. It's the same thing with the 12-step program. If I've never been exposed to it and you ask me to do it, well, I can't do it without you showing me what to do. And that's where a sponsor comes in. That's where the only
right. And for myself, along with getting a sponsor, what I'm focusing on is helping me to cope and to rise above. And after that, I'll decide what the next step is.
Okay. All right. And have you enjoyed your Al-Anon experience?
I have very much.
Do you know is there a website or something that people can go on if they're listening right now in South Africa that they could get some help with that?
I want to say it's alanon.org.
It is.
And then yes,
Yeah.
and that's a great way to find any support group for any hurt, habit, or hang-up. The internet is just wonderful that way. Joy?
It is today, and there are meetings online.
Yeah.
And forums and places that you can go if you can't get out of the house to talk to people
right.
who have your same issues.
I heard a story, and it might be in some literature, about this guy that wanted to get sober back in the late 1930s or 1940s, and a group sent him a book that describes the program of recovery as it's laid out by the 12-step people, and because he was in some remote outpost in Alaska, and he had to do the work himself by reading the book. Today, we have the internet, which makes it so much easier.
Today, many people find their way into recovery maybe before they are ready, quote, to be there. But who knows what day you're ready, and we try to get people ready earlier and earlier. Although then that means that there may be a lot of people who come who maybe aren't quite ready yet. It's really good for them to hear the message, but maybe they weren't as open to hear it as someone who was desperate by themselves in an outpost in Alaska, who just had the book, who had to just delve into it or die.
Right, absolutely. Does the Al-Anon, and this, I'm going to say this because there is a great deal of stuff that is done in different fellowships. That includes social aspect of what we do. And that is, for me, or for whomever, a way to get integrated back into society without the drugs or alcohol. In other words, for you and I, we have picnics, we have dances, we have conventions, which are not only informative but social as well. And that's a big aspect of changing my way of thinking, isn't it, Joy?
Yes, over time, again, it seems to be my theme of the night. It can really help develop your own social skills, the way that you the way to have a friend is to be a friend. I didn't know how to be a friend. And I learned through service and through activities with people who weren't drinking or using, because that's all I ever did.
Do they do that in Al-Anon?
Yes, unfortunately, I was out of town. They had a big old dinner dance, and I believe it was called the Red Carpet of Recovery.
Wow, okay, that sounds like a great name.
Yeah, it was. I understand it was a very nice thing, and I believe they do something annually with that. And I'm sure there's other things too, but again, I'm just a 90-day-old baby in the program. I have a lot of steps to go through to learn, and I don't think I could even be considered a toddler yet.
Well, you know what? But you can tell a woman that doesn't know anything about Al-Anon what your experience is with Al-Anon, and that's where this whole passing things on come in.
Yeah, like I can tell you that I have not told my husband that I've joined Al-Anon. I have 3 reasons for not telling him. First reason is I don't want him thinking I'm trying to make him feel guilty.
Okay.
Second reason is I'm afraid that he'll be angry. And third reason is the next time he gets really rip-snorting, angrily drunk, I'm afraid, because he admits to being an alcoholic, so I'm afraid what will come out is, look at me, I'm the alcoholic and my wife goes to meetings.
Yeah.
And so I haven't told him. I've joined Weight Watchers the same day as my Al-Anon meeting, so I just say, okay, I'm going to my Weight Watchers meeting now.
Right, okay.
And so I have a legitimate cover for going.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, whatever works.
I had a friend who used to climb out the window just like she did as a teenager in order to get to meetings because her husband didn't want her going.
Okay. All right. That's a shame, though.
Mm-hmm.
So now getting back to, I'm not dwelling on it because the social aspect of what we do does not keep us sober. I'm going to, and Joy was absolutely right. With time, she prefaced it by, however, if you're in your first 24 hours, your first 48 hours, and a bunch of guys, if you're a guy, pick you up and take you to a picnic, or a bunch of women pick you up if you're a woman and take you to some sort of function, you are witnessing firsthand with these other people that there is a possibility to have fun and put a smile on your face and do stuff without being drunk or high. That was where I was going with that. Yeah. So anyway, Lynn, would you please give a word of encouragement to anybody, men or women, that are struggling with a spouse, a daughter, a son, or a co-worker, and you give a word of encouragement for them.
Please reach out to someone for help. You don't have to keep those feelings trapped inside you like I was doing. It doesn't need to cause you anxiety every day. Once you start going, you are definitely going to feel better. Okay.
Give Lynn a nice round of applause. We thank you once again for the coffee maker, and we're going to take another commercial break, and we're going to hear 2 or 3 songs from you. You're listening to Rated R for Recovery and RatedRforRecovery.com. Welcome back to Rated R for Recovery, RatedRforRecovery.com, sponsored in part, once again, by Sovereign Health, with offices all over the United States. See them at sovhealth.com. That song that you hear at the opening of our show and when we come back from commercial is a song recorded by some friends of the show. Charlie Colleen wrote the song. He was a original member of the band Train. Sally Taylor, who is rock and roll royalty. She is the daughter of James Taylor and Carly Simon. Skunk Baxter on slide guitar, who from the Doobie Brothers and Steely Dan. Danny Beisel on vocals. And who am I forgetting? I think that's...
No, I usually pay attention. And
Yeah. Well,
throw
anyway,
one in, but I
so
wasn't.
they are coming. Hopefully, we'll have them on the show the 29th of June. We're going to dedicate a whole show to Charlie's experience with the band Train, to Sally's experience with her mother and father, and then her own journey. And Danny has his own story as well. And they will be joined by Leroy Romans on keyboards and vocals that evening, who is from the Wailers and a band called Third World, which he is one of the founding members of. So we have that to look forward to.
I'm so excited.
Yes. Right now, we're looking forward to hearing Lynn F. speak or sing for us right now. She writes her own little ditties, and she has got some to play for us tonight. Give Lynn a nice round of applause.
Thank you. Well, this first song I wrote for my dad. He loved quoting Art Linkletter, saying, "Getting old's not for sissies." I am an old fart, the young folks all say, so I take off my earpiece and don't hear a thing. My old jogging suit is now used for dusting, and my teeth clack whenever I speak. Yippee-ki-yay, getting old's not for sissies. It's slow as molasses and hard on the knees. Yodel lady, I can't find my glasses. Yep, it's sure hard work being an old fart. The young folks speed by me whenever I drive, but if I'm going 20, I'll lay right they lie. I can make up my mind when I read a menu. There's just too many ways to serve prunes. Yippee-ki-yay, getting old's not for sissies. It's slow as molasses and hard on the knees. Yodel lady, I can't find my glasses. Yep, it's sure hard work being an old fart. My social security check arrived in the... No, wait, that's not right. Oh. They had a great sale on Jarrett's. That's not right either. Sorry, John. This is embarrassing. I wrote a third verse, but my memory's gone. Can't recall where I put it. Oh, these words are all wrong. So I'll turn on the TV and watch Lawrence Welk. I just hope I can stay up that late. Yippee-ki-yay, getting old's not for sissies. It's slow as molasses and hard on the knees. Yodel lady, I can't find my glasses. Yep, it's sure hard work being an old fart. Yippee-ki-yay, getting old's not for sissies. It's slow as molasses and hard on the knees. Yodel lady, I can't find my glasses. Yep, it's sure hard work being an old fart. But at least old farts don't smell as bad as new farts. Thank you.
Funny how I can relate to every line in that song. That's a little disheartening, right, Tom? Anyway, Lynn, we have time for one more, so pick whichever one you'd like to do.
All right. This song is just a cute little song. It should, hopefully you might get a charge out of it. Well, I got a fella, I'll call him American Express. He goes everywhere with me. Man, he really is a pest. He's my American Express. I can't leave home without him. Well, early in the morning, I was quiet as a mouse. But before I can reach the back door, he follows me out of the house. Yeah, he's always going with me. Man, I just can't shake him free. But I gotta give him credit. He sure gets a charge out of me. Yeah, I got a fella, I call him my American Express. He goes everywhere with me. Man, he really is a pest. He's my American Express. I can't leave home without him.
the little charge card. I can pay my bill in full, but my American Express keeps charging at me like a bull. Yeah, he's always going with me. Man, I just can't shake him free. And he's worse than any charge card. I don't get no shit points. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Lynn does a great job with that. We'll have her back some other time. We reached the end of the show. We'll have another great show for you next week. Bring your friends. Tell everybody. Spread us around on the Facebook. You've been listening to Rated R for Recovery and RatedRforRecovery.com. Stay sober, my friends.